What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Take a Time Out, episode number 46, two-man edition. You know what time it is, man. Me and Nate getting down to the nitty-gritty of hoops. Our group chat last night, it just consisted of me just texting over and over again, I love hoops, because it was a great night of basketball
It
last
was.
night. It was fire. Like, coming right off a Super Bowl, people interested to move on to something, and basketball's like, hey, we're here. This sport's fun. Like, that was a great day yesterday of hoops. But the trade deadline went down. We record every Tuesday, so we're a little late on this, but we'd still like to talk about the trade deadline. Overall, though, Nate, like it was a little bit of a boring trade deadline in some people's eyes, but in the end of this, when you look at all the trades that happened, it wasn't like the worst.
Yeah, I think people that narrative's out there, which I mean, it's an understandable
Yeah,
point of perspective, but you're comparing it to years that superstars were traded, like
right.
multiple superstars, like best players in the league. Like I don't know. I think it's just unfair to. I mean, if you're comparing it to that, I understand, but like you just said, like it was still a pretty good uh, class here,
Yeah, yeah, and like
and a lot of these people will contribute to titles, whether they're a splashy name or not.
yeah, it's title pieces for sure. Role players they contribute, man,
Hmm.
and yeah. So the couple teams that held on to their cards, Bulls. Now that one don't make sense to me. Lakers, we can kind of talk about that for a second. It makes a little sense to me that the Lakers did this. I thought about it and how much draft capital they've given up since acquiring LeBron
Yeah.
is absolutely absurd. And looking around the league, are you gonna like sell yourself to go get DeJounte Murray when you don't know if LeBron's even coming back next year? Like stuff like that. Like you don't want. I get you want a chance every year, but you don't want to just sell your future. You still have AD for the next foreseeable future
Hmm.
for at least 3 years. Like you got to hold on to those pieces with what you can. And I like what Rob Pelinka did in not making a irrational decision. He was probably in talks for some of these guys we're gonna name, but on the lesser side, like the lesser names. But besides that, he shouldn't have. I like that he didn't go for a DeJounte Murray, stuff like that.
And even though I'm still not necessarily a believer in the Lakers, like the lineups that they've been running recently, I understand why.
Yeah,
They feel like they have enough pieces in place.
yeah,
Because if you were asking all the Lakers fans before this season started, they would have told you that they're the deepest team in the league.
right. But now they're trying to figure it out, and like we've talked about at the beginning of the year, there's parity in this NBA right now. Everybody has a chance, and all you want is a chance. So at
Hmm.
the end of the day, what we're gonna do is a draft. We're gonna draft a starting lineup, basketball starting lineup, five-man lineup of trades that went down. And you tell us in the comments who won. So I'll let you go first, Nate. Um, but yeah, out of all the trades, this could even date back to the first day of the year, up to the trade deadline. Out of all the trades, number one pick, who you got?
Um, I don't want to steal one from you, but in terms of superstar and like the biggest move that happened, it just has to be Harden to the Clippers.
Harden to the Clippers.
I mean,
That's the only
like,
answer.
and ever since they did make that trade and figure things out, they've been the best team, arguably, in the West. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a layup.
Yeah, and like try to think about the trade now. I actually got this one right here, but I mean, for both sides, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Clippers definitely won. I think it's a like if I had to grade it, I'm giving probably an A to the Clippers, A plus to the Clippers, and like a B plus to the Sixers. I
Yeah,
mean,
because the Sixers, their hand was forced, and
yeah,
like Harden kind of made it clear to them that he didn't want to go anywhere else other than
right,
there.
yeah,
So,
they're kind of handcuffed. But all right, my pick, my first pick in this draft. I'm debating two right now. I really am. I got it mine in order, but I really it is kind of like reversible in some ways to me. But I'm gonna go with this one, the one that I think, like personally, I think is that would be the OG Anunoby trade.
yeah.
Um, in terms of team fit, a lot of people questioned it at first, not if it would fit, but giving up RJ and quickly kind of felt like a lot in a way because that's all we've seen from the Knicks is this same core for a couple years now, with the addition of Brunson, and we know who Brunson is. He's the best player on the team, but when you're getting OG, what I've learned and just like there's probably 5 guys in the NBA like OG. Maybe Tatum when he's right, when he's like locked in, playing defense hard. I'd put probably Anthony Edwards on that list. Giannis. I'm just talking about dudes that can guard 1 through 5, basically.
Kawhi.
Kawhi, like people like that, they can guard pretty much every position, and that's just so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Like the things that he does and hits his threes, like so I'm putting him over a couple dudes that you could argue, but to me, OG moving forward for the long run is the second best trade. So it's my first pick.
And I'm gonna follow up on that and stick with the Knicks and go with Bogdanovich and Burks trade. And it's not the splashiest of names, but with how they're building their team right now, going into honestly pushing for a title run this year, those are two people that help you space the floor and shoot more threes. And they traded to the Pistons. They gave away Evan Fournier, who,
Yeah.
he's just a role player. Malachi Flynn, who I really don't even know too much about him.
Yeah,
Quentin
Malcolm,
Grimes, who I
Mm.
feel like they were trying to get rid of. There's talks about them already getting rid of him.
Yep.
And then I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because I'm going to butcher it. But I don't know who that is. And they gave up 2 second-round picks, which second-rounders in the NBA,
Long shots.
yeah, exactly. Like, the best you can really get is a role player.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard.
I don't know. This helps a team that feels like they're contenders contend even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I'll be interested though. I mean, I haven't, but like with Bogdanovich especially, he doesn't seem like a Tom Thibodeau guy exactly because of his defensive play. I mean, he's a good defender, but not a great one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just Tibbs is so like I gotta have 5 amazing defenders out on the floor. That's why Fournier never touched a lick. Like he came out and was like, "I'm so happy to be out of New York." He got traded to Detroit, and he's talking about how happy he is to be out of New York. Like, but I'll be interested to see how the Bogdanovich thing looks in the playoffs, especially like who's their closing 5 to end the game.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting. But I also like the little Alec Burks. That's one of Tibbs' guys. Had him before. He's already played in New York, so yeah, it's a good one.
He's just a nice shooter to come off the bench.
Yeah, like he is a scorer, man. He can score the ball. Well, this kind of leaves me with the obvious one. I'm gonna go with Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
Maybe not for this year. I don't take the Pacers that serious if you watch our tiers list, but for the foreseeable future, to have a core of Siakam and Halliburton is a good trade that you need to make. The Siakam market wasn't as like crazy as I really thought it was. But in the long run, I think this is a great trade. I got to take it where I'm at on the draft here.
I'm going to stick with another team that was a winner from the deadline, and I'm trying to find the precise details here. Give me 1 second because it's one of 2, and it's the Mavs acquiring P.J. Washington.
Okay.
So they gave up 2 future second-round picks. They acquired P.J. Washington and 2 second-round picks from the Hornets. They gave up a future first, which is in 2027, so that's, quite a few draft classes away. Seth Curry, who, he's a nice backup one, but to get a starter in P.J. Washington, and they gave up Grant Williams, who is a very good defender, but you're essentially trading that away for a better scorer and a starter for you. So I think that this is by far one of the best trades of the deadline.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that one. That was my next pick, man, because we talked about kind of leading up and just throughout the season, like PJ, how much we like that dude. We talked about his defensive play and like being able to guard multiple positions and stuff like that. And the 3-ball, another 3-and-D piece, like we've talked about enough. But I want to stick on the Grant Williams thing for a second. I kind of shouldn't have held back when I felt like I watched a lot of Celtics basketball. He kind of, there at the end, started to click with Tatum and Brown and all that. But at first, Grant Williams can seem like a very polarizing guy. And he's very confident, and but I felt like in Dallas, it wasn't going that great inside the locker room. probably just awkwardness, not like crazy blow ups, nothing like that. I just seen it being awkward where Grant's like trying to insert himself when people don't want it to be inserted.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of person he is. And then it gets to the point where you have an opportunity to flip him for the likes of PJ. You're going to do it every time. And the Hornets, on the other hand, need a guy like Grant Williams, a guy who takes it more serious. A couple nights ago, the Hornets coach gets ejected and the players are sitting there laughing and they're down 20. Like, that's not what you want. I don't think Grant would be sitting there laughing. I think he'd get pretty pissed and try to like talk to the younger dudes. Like, he is a younger guy, but he has a good chip on his shoulders. Played college ball for a while, was very successful in college. But yeah, probably too much Grant Williams talk, but he was a Celtic, so I'll get it off that.
No, I understand.
All right, my pick, man. I'm gonna go with it's between two again. Ultimately, I'm gonna go with the former Celtic myself. Actually, I'm gonna go with Gordon Hayward, the Gordon Hayward trade. Now, I've had this one lower than the PJ trade, specifically because I would have liked to see OKC get another big, which they did. They picked up my boy Bismack Biyombo in the buyout market. But I was thinking they would go for who else I was thinking about. I'll go ahead and say Gafford, like the likes of that. Well, I seen Gafford go for. That wasn't my pick, but like that was just a fleece to me. That was like the only good rotational. Like I want to watch the Wizards just to watch Gafford. Like that was basically all they had that people like to watch and was like consistent and seemed like could actually be a role player on the contender. And that's exactly what happened. But Hayward, it's a good piece. You give up Trey Mann and a couple other dudes and some picks that you already have a million picks, and you get a dude who, if healthy, could be fighting with Josh Giddey to be a starter. So it's good stuff. It's a good trade.
You already mentioned it just now, but my selection is the Gafford trade. I mean, the Mavs gave up a first rounder for him, but it's also in the future, and they're trying to win now. And if you looked at this Mavs team, they needed another center. Like Derek Lively, when he wasn't playing, they had no answer for anything in the paint.
Yeah.
So I really like this approach from the Mavs, who are another team that are trying to sell out for a championship.
Yeah, instead of just being like, we'll wait till the buyout market, they go out and get the dudes that they want, not the dudes that they'll just be like, we'll take them, you know. So, all right, getting down to our two last picks. I'm gonna go with Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield. Sixers needed to switch it up in terms of like what they can do in the final 5 minutes. Like if Toby don't got it in the playoffs, Tobias Harris, if he's not got it cooking, you can throw in a guy like Hield and he can kind of play a similar role and shoot threes, and you can interchange them and kind of see like who's hot tonight. Like that's the type of thing I see here. So a good trade for the Sixers, and the Pacers just got so many dudes in that shooting guard position. I mean, Nesmith. Buddy was probably getting like 9 to 10 minutes a game for the Pacers, and that's no knock on Hield. But Nesmith has been hooping this year. Like Aaron Nesmith, he's been hooping. Like it's hard to get rotational minutes. So to flip it, it's a good trade for both sides. But I like Buddy Hield especially for the Sixers.
Yeah, and if Embiid's coming back right before the postseason, I mean, this is another team that's trying to go and win a championship. So
yeah,
trying to get assets, and also like the biggest thing about these trades too, especially when they happen mid-season, is it's essentially teams trying to get ahead of free agency. So they have a chance to re-sign these guys before, like you mentioned, they hit the open market. This last one for me, I think I might have to go. You didn't have this one down, but I think just with what this team needs, I'm going to go with the Suns acquiring Royce O'Neal, who once again is not a splashy name, but he's another role player that will help contribute on the second unit, and that's what the Suns team needed, was a better second unit. So they gave up. This was a 3-team trade, but I'll just...
Let me see if I can remember. Bates Diop.
Yep.
Yute Watanabe.
Yep.
And they gave away a big man, a forward, weird name.
Shemzi Matu
Yep.
and Jordan Goodwin,
Yep.
which are all guys that were at the bottom of their rotation.
Yep.
Like, these were dudes that you wouldn't see unless they were blowing teams out with, like, 2 minutes left in the game. So like just to go get someone from like Royce off a Nets team that's, I mean, I would say they're underachieving this year.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a good pickup for the Suns.
It is. Yeah.
And you're
Flip
giving up nothing.
flip your 11th, 12th, and 13th and 10th man
Yeah.
and go out and get an 8th man. It's going to help you in the long run, so it's a good
I mean,
trade.
they got David Roddy too, but I don't know too much about.
Yeah, Roddy. Yeah, he's a decent three-point shooter, but besides that, I mean, yeah, that was a good pick. It was a sneaky pick, though. I didn't even write that one down. My last two ones, though, are pretty biased. But anyway, so it is my final pick. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, final pick. Wait. Yeah, final pick. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm tripping.
I was say I had to rethink for a second too.
It's sitting there, man, and I gotta take it. No, screw that, man.
No, you can take it. You can take it because I know it's hasn't looked great yet, but I think the potential is still there.
Yeah, but no, I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna go home, man. I'm going with Xavier Tillman for the Boston Celtics. Hasn't logged a minute yet. Kristaps ain't playing tonight. I hope he's out there right now as we speak. Xavier Tillman can
I'll
take
check for
them
you.
Luke Cornett minutes, and he can flourish with that because Luke Cornett, not a playoff guy. Simple as that. Not gonna bash the man because he's an NBA player, a lot better than me, but he's not a rotational guy in the playoffs, I don't think. But in Tillman, if you talk to Grizzlies fans, are just in shambles because they lost a dude who's an absolute adult. And that was the most important thing to my Celtics is like we're building a great thing right now in the fact that culture-wise, we're one of the best teams in the league. We have one of the best, like, if you watch our bench, they love each other. Like, they hang out all the time. They're all, like, about mid-20s, like a little older. And they're maturing, growing families, stuff like that. There's not a lot of young dudes on their bench that are foolish or older dudes that hate the young guys, nothing like that. Instead, we trade for a guy like Tillman who has, like, 3 kids and is a very mature young adult. And that's important. As boring as that sounds, it's important that we do a trade like that if we're going to make one. So I like the trade, man. I really do. I'm going to take it with my last pick. And that sets you up for who you was going to take, who I was going to take, but I decided to be a homer.
Well, I mean, we will just talk about it. We were talking about Terry Rozier, who, like I said, I mean, since he's joined, he's now, I think, injured for a little bit. So, I mean, he's at least been out with Jimmy Butler. But when he did play, regardless if you believe in plus or minus, like that stat alone, he was the constant negative for that team. I think, but with this being said, like the biggest thing with these trades is like it's kind of seems shocking when a player gets traded and it still maintains that production throughout.
Yeah.
It usually takes time for them to like adjust to the new scheme, adjust to who they're playing with. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason why. I could see that being like possibly one of the top selections for us, but as of right now, there's a reason why that name wasn't selected.
Yeah, like come playoff time, he could be coming off the bench and playing that Caleb Martin role from last year and scoring like 18 to 20 points a game because he figured it out. So,
which I think he really, I know he probably doesn't want to, and like that type of trade, you want to start somebody like that, but I feel like he could almost be a lot more beneficial off the bench.
Yeah, playing next to Tyler Hero isn't ideal to Terry Rozier because he's a shot chucker too. There can only be so many shot chuckers on the court, but yeah. Honorable mention for me, Jared Springer, another Celtics trade. They got it in. That was like the trade deadline buzzer beater this year. Was us getting Jaden Springer, and everybody was pissed on Twitter because of the trade deadline. But yeah, I mean, we get a dude who you texted about, and he was locking up Steph that game.
He
before,
really
bro.
was.
He's a really good defender, and if Peyton Pritchard can't guard a lick in the playoffs, we can throw in Springer. He might be a minus on offense, but hopefully the rest of the guys around him can pick it up, and he can just be a great defender. His comparison coming out of college, guess who it was? I'll tell you, Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
That was his comparison coming out of college. Ain't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Trade for him.
I mean, there's a reason why they had interest in somebody like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's awesome though.
one more honorable mention before we go off air. Schroeder to the Nets.
I almost brought that one up.
Simply because, like, it seems like when Ben Simmons isn't on the court, it seems like they never really had a true point guard, and they got rid of Spencer Dinwiddie, who didn't want to be there. So,
Yeah, you know who's like Dinwiddie, not a great guy to have next to Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas has a lot to learn. You love him as a player. I like him as a scorer. But he has a lot to learn about the actual game of basketball and how it works in the NBA. Once again, can't bash him too much because I'm a 21-year-old who's just sitting there at the table not playing basketball for my profession.
and Cam Thomas is a hooper.
Cam Thomas is a certified scorer, but he needs a guy like Schroeder who can come in and has been like, hey, dude, I played 12-plus years in this league. You want to know about it? I can tell you about it.
Won a championship.
Yeah, won a championship. Like he's provided like he's a great defender at his size for what he is. Like stuff like that. He can be a good little role player next to Cam Thomas. So I like that one.
Yeah.
Building for the future, not now. But yeah, so that was our episode. Not too long of an episode, but we went through some trades. Who you think won the draft down below? We'll be having more drafts coming out. It's back to draft season, especially on our NFL pods. It's the off season, so it's time to draft like crazy. But yeah, it was another good episode. Check us out on social media and all that, man. But it was real, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.